everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a painting of some lemons, which I found on Pixabay.com, which is Pixaby.com. I will post a link in the description below, and as I'm painting, I will post a picture of the photo up in the corner for you all to look at while you are painting along. But that's the one that I'm going to be using today. And this is a royalty-free photo, so we will not have any problems with it. Today I'm going to be painting on my very inexpensive Canson Montval cellulose paper. It's 100% cellulose. There's no cotton in it at all. It's 300 gram, 140 pound. It's a 7.5 by 9.4 inch paper, and I received it in a doodle and sketch box. Also today I will be painting on my new palette, or with my new palette, old paints. There's nothing new here except for the one color I showed you the other day, which was the ultramarine violet, and it is growing on me a bit. Although I don't use violets a lot, so I don't know why I'm so tempted to buy them all the time. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and paint with this. I do get a little bit of bubbling up. I had used some Windex to clean it off initially to try to see if I could get any coating off of it. And then the other day when I was painting on it, it looked really stained and I was kind of worried. But I took a drier paper towel after I had wet it and I really scrubbed at it and it all came up. But I really had to scrub at it. So I'm hopeful that today, nope, I still have a little bit of bubbling. But it'll take a couple weeks and then that will stop. It usually does after a couple weeks of use. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back over here. I'm trying to keep my camera on an angle so that you can see what I'm doing over here. And I will do voiceover. I understand many of you like that. I also made my chart the other day, yesterday, and I did not laminate it because I still have 8 spaces that are not utilized. And I might want to change some things around and I might need to make a new chart. But for now, I decided to go ahead and put down all the transparencies and pigment information. Before I get into this, though, I wanted to mention to you guys, if you could do me a favor, I've been having some issue with videos being stolen and placed on other people's accounts on YouTube and God knows where else, maybe Patreon or something. My name says Sharoncullenfineart, my entire video, but they're being listed under other people. I found 3 so far. 2 of you have given me the name of 2 of the videos and the links, which I am very, very thankful for, to both of you for doing that. One I received on an Instagram message, the other one on a YouTube message, or no, it was an email. So I appreciate it. I did file a grievance and had the first one taken down, and then last night I found 2 more. So what I'm asking from you is, if you see any of my videos in your sidebar, you see my face or you see a familiar video of mine that you have watched, just take a peek below and see if it says Sharoncullenfineart below the title of the video, or if it has something else. But if you see me or one of my videos and you see somebody else's name, title attached underneath it, if you could please let me know, send me the link. You can just pick up the link in the top of your search bar, or just send me a photo of the video and the title and name of the channel underneath it. That would be very helpful to me, and then I can report them. Every time I file a grievance, it's kind of a long process. I have to fill out like 5 pages of paperwork. Then I have to wait for YouTube to investigate. Then they come back and tell me, yes, I've removed this. But like last night, I had found the one that somebody had sent me the link for, and then there was a second person who had the same exact video right above it. They were right next to each other. They were both bumped way up high in the search listings, and my search listing was knocked way down, which is strange because they had like no views, no likes, no dislikes, and I had multiples, but theirs were showing up higher in the search bars with no subscribers or anything, which was really bizarre to me. I don't know how this is happening or how they're getting around it and pushing themselves up, but it's really getting frustrating to me. And to anybody watching, you're welcome to share links to my videos that lead back to my channel. But you are not welcome to take my videos and post them on your channel as your own video. If you want to put them on your playlists, that's fine. Everybody can do that. But it would still lead back to my channel if somebody clicked on your playlist. So if you could help me out with that, I'd really appreciate it. These are copyright protected videos under standard copyright license, and I will not allow anybody to take my hard work. So that's that. Now back to this. I just wanted to show you what I did. I was telling you the other day that I didn't really care as much about pigment numbers as I did about staining and transparency and granulation. So what I did was I took the Daniel Smith key from their chart. If you get one of their paper charts like this, I contacted them and had them send it to me. They have their key over to the side. They use the little circles for transparent, semi-transparent, opaque, whatever. And all their colors are listed with the pigment numbers and everything. So it makes it real easy for me to put them on here without having to stare at each tube. So I did that, and I like having the light fastness, but I also like knowing if it's staining or non-staining. Like this Sugilite Genuine is a low staining color. Number 2 is low. Is it granulating? Yes. Is it transparent? It's transparent. And for the most part, I think most of my colors are transparent or semi-transparent. I don't have any opaque colors on here. But like my Hooker's Green, Raw Sienna, Cobalt Teal Blue, which I mentioned the other day, I figured was semi-transparent. Hematite Genuine, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna, those are all semi-transparent colors. But I love knowing whether they're granulating and staining. The staining is good to know, especially if you're doing glazes, where you're going to lay down, like let's say with these lemons we're doing today, I want to use a color that is transparent, and then I want to put glazes on top of it. This is a bad example with the lemons because I don't have any staining yellows in my collection. They're all non-staining. But if I had a staining color, I might put that down first, and then every subsequent color that I put over the top of it to glaze then would be able to glaze over very easily without lifting up the color from underneath it. Anyway, let's get to the painting now, and I'm sorry I talked so long. I'm going to go ahead and put down the sketch real quick, and then we'll start the painting process. Light, but I just wanted it. I didn't, because I'm using yellow, I don't want these pencil marks to really show up a lot. And I even put it on a little darker than I normally would. So this is my sketch, and let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and start with some yellow. And I'm going to take my brush and wet it. Right now I'm just using my Billy Scholl number 6 Kolinsky Sable brush. And I'm just going to go ahead and wet one of these lemons down well. I'm going to go all the way to the edge here. just like I'm painting. Go ahead and put some water down on your lemon. You can start anywhere you want. Because I'm left-handed, I like to start at the right-hand side and work left. You may want to start at the left-hand side and work right. That way you're not dragging your hand through anything. And I need to move my tea because I'm going to dip my brush in it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my yellow. I'm going to take my Hansa yellow medium. Actually, no, I'm going to use the, I'm going to use my Hansa yellow medium. Sorry, guys. And I'm just going to do a very light wash to start. And there's a reflection on this from the light. So look at your photo and look for where the reflection is, and then try to avoid that. It's going to bleed in a little bit, and that's fine. There we go. And now I'm going to go over to this one because it's not touching that one, and I'm going to go ahead and wet this down as well. I'm going to wet the whole thing. Now I do have lines here where the little whoop-de-doo comes out at the end of the lemon. I don't know what that is. Looks like a nipple almost at the end of the lemon, and it's up higher with part of the lemon showing underneath it. So that's going to be a different perspective to put on here. And we're going to have to do it with color because it's hard to show that depth any other way. Or with value, I should say. It doesn't need color, it needs value. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some of my Hansa yellow medium again. And the same thing, and this is a Daniel Smith color. I almost grabbed my PWC color, which was Permanent Yellow Light, which seemed a little bit darker, so that's why I chose this one. Hansa Yellow Light is a beautiful color. I may get that next for a lighter yellow. And this one, the reflection is up here, so I'm saving that for last. I'm just going to glaze over everything because I'm using a very pale value of color. And just let it do its thing. Wet into wet is the easiest way to do this because it'll spread on its own. There's a little bit of green. I'm going to grab some of my sap, just a very small amount. I'm going to water it way down, and I'm just going to add that to the side of this over here. It's a little too wet. There we go. I'm going to pick some of this up because I got it too wet. I got to lay the yellow back in, and then the green. Which is along the side. I like this brush because of the fine point that it gives. It's just an amazing brush. Okay, now while I've got the green, I'm going to take a pale wash of sap green, and I'm going to mix it in with this Hansa Yellow Light that I have, or medium that I have, and I'm going to go ahead and do this leaf that is not coming in contact with either lemon that I've just painted. I should have wet it first. I prefer to do that wet. The sizing on this paper is different than I'm used to, and it just does not move the paint around very well. Very strange. I guess that does touch the lemon there. I didn't realize that. And I'm going to go a little bit darker here. It's probably best to let it soak in for a minute. Let that water just kind of dry into the paper a little bit. This is a watercolor block, so my paper will not lift on the edges at all. It's stuck down on all four sides. If you're not familiar with watercolor blocks, they're very easy to work with. They're really nice, actually. The trick is getting the paper off when you're done, and I can show you how that's done when we get to the end if you're unfamiliar with watercolor blocks. Now that leaf is going to be much darker, but I need to let that dry and then go back in with a little yellow. In fact, I might just try to do a little yellow right now. If I keep my brush on the drier side, I might be okay. There. That will work. Now I'm just going to start glazing and darkening my color as I go. And that's all there is really to it. I'm going to go ahead and do this lemon here. And this is going to be a very, very pale wash. Well, actually, this lemon's a little deeper in color than I expected. I think it must be, it's not a slice, it's like a half of a lemon that's open here. So, and then I will just use white at the end to do my little areas between each piece of lemon. I don't know the technical term for that, but it almost has an orangey hue to it. So I'm going to go with a little deeper yellow. I'm adding in some of my new gamboge into my Hansa Yellow Medium and mixing them together to get just a little richer yellow, because this fruit is showing darker than I expected. And there's bits of white reflection all over this. Rather than draw out lines of white, I'm just going to draw in lines of white at the end with a white pen or something like that. It'll be much easier. Okay, I'm going to speed this along and I will narrate as I'm going. Okay, here I'm just starting to put glazing on. I'm still using the Hansa Yellow Medium, and then I am adding bits of new gamboge, a warmer yellow, so you can use whatever warm yellow you have. To go along those edges, you'll see up in the corner here where the lemon has darker areas. Now, there's no reason to worry about the whites that are going to be in the center and along the veining of that lemon, because I'll go back with some white pen or some gouache later on to put that back in. It's just easier than using masking. Masking can get so messy. And the other thing I don't like about masking is that it's more difficult to use on cheap paper. The paper can tear a lot more easily when you're taking the masking off, and this paper is inexpensive student grade paper, so it's easier to use it on 100% cotton paper. Now you're just going to keep going over these until you feel that the colors are right, and just keep glazing a little bit at a time. Make sure that you do it slowly, and then you'll have less issue with mistakes. Now here I'm adding a little bit of the yellow into the leaf just to lighten it up a little bit at the top, and then I'm using some of the sap green to blend it back together again and soften the edges. Now here I'm just going to grab a little bit of quinacridone gold to run along the veins of the leaf to lighten them up a bit. It doesn't really work real well, but it does give a nice glow to the edge of the veins. And now I'm going to add some more sap green, a little bit darker, into the area there of the leaf that has that shadow on it from the one above it. Now I'm just adding the little, I don't know what you call it, the nubbies that are at the end of the lemon where they hang from the branch. They're usually a little bit browner, darker, so I just added that in there. And now I put in some water for the shadow. And what I'm using here is Shadow Violet by Daniel Smith, and it's an excellent color. I was just sopping up some of the liquid in my brush there to dry it out a little bit so that it didn't pool on the paper. This is very pretty. It's granulating. It has kind of a red and a blue hint that it leaves behind. It's a really beautiful color, and it's great for shadows. You can make them as light or as dark as you need to. Now if you look closely at the shadows, you'll see that some areas of the table surface almost reflect a little bit of the yellow from the lemons and a little bit of green from that lower leaf. And so that's what I'm adding into my shadows there, just the very slightest bit of color. Now I realized here that I messed up this leaf, so I'm taking out a little bit of that yellow and I'm putting a fold of the leaf in there, which isn't actually very hard to do with that yellow there. It actually worked out well, and I got the fold in. When I first looked at the photo, I didn't notice that fold there on that leaf, and I kept thinking there's something that doesn't look right, and that's what it was. I decided to add a little bit of shadow color there on that lemon, and it looks dirty, so I'll come back later and I'll get rid of it. But I did use it at the bottom of the lemon there, and it really helped to define and give a three-dimensional look to that lemon by adding that shadow color on there. Now I'm going to go ahead in with a white pen, a gel pen, to put the initial look of the oranges on, just pretty simply. But I don't know if you've ever noticed when you use one of these pens, layering white over it, it tends to pick up what's underneath. So I get a little frustrated with it after I put it all on there and decide it looks horrible, so then I go ahead and grab my white gouache and I'll go over it with a fine brush, and then it helps it to look much better. And then at the end there's going to be a lot of reflection on the meat of the orange itself, so I will put that in with the white pen, and that works out pretty well. Now I'm going to rinse my brush off here, and I'm just going back over these shadows along the edges, just adding some water to soften the edges because I had a bit of a line there after the water dried from my previous wet into wet area. Excuse me. And now here I am getting rid of that dirty spot that I didn't like on the lemon, and it looks much better without it. And I'm going in with my gouache now to fix those edges that I didn't like. I realized I dripped some paint on the outer area of my painting, so I'm just washing it up and trying to lift it off as best I can there. If that happens to you and you have a white background, just remember you can always go with some white gouache to blend it out if there's any leftover color, but you want to lift as much of it out as you possibly can. Or you can use a white pen also. Unless it's a big area, then there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do. Okay, so here are my finished lemons. I'm not real happy with the way my veining came out, so just ignore that. But anyway, enjoy. I hope you have fun doing this painting, and if you weren't doing it along with me, that is. And Remember to be courageous, paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. Remember, only 4 days until Inktober begins. Woohoo! So everybody join me on Instagram. Remember to post your photos with hashtag Instagram, hashtag Instagram 2017, and also hashtag Sharoncullenfineart, so that they'll fall into that category. Then do a search there, Sharoncullenfineart, with the hashtag in front of it, and you'll see everybody's posts. If you forget the hashtag in front of it, it's also going to show up as my channel and hashtags. Always grab the tags, or else hit the tag option up at the top of the screen. But remember, everybody, have a great time with it. Hopefully I will get another video in before Inktober begins, but if not, I will see you all in Inktober. Bye-bye.